All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I just set up an offsite storage box at an actual gold vault, and I thought it might be interesting to share a little bit about how and why I did it. The short version on the why I did it was that I was just holding a little bit more gold at home than I like to now that I have a channel talking about this stuff. And I know that we all like to think that we need direct access to everything we have at all times, but there's a point where it just doesn't really make sense to have it all in your home. The dumb part of my brain, of course, thinks that, if somebody wants to try to get a hold of my gold, come in and try. And probably anybody with a gun kind of thinks that way. I also have, I have good locks and hiding places. I've got safes. I've got years and years and years of martial arts training. I know that's weird to say, but whatever. I've got security cameras and alarms, and I've even got a couple of really loud dogs. And I suppose the Y chromosome in me probably wants to think that that's enough, but I have a family and I don't need any extra incentive for people to try, so it just makes good sense to get some of this off-site. And I think the interesting part here is that this is an actual gold vault, and that's different than a safe deposit box in a few different ways. The first is that a box at a vault is going to be insured, and that is a lot different than any safe deposit boxes, and that's pretty core to their thinking. They are set up to house gold, where a bank just simply is not. Now, the reason the vault is there in the first place is not to set up deposit boxes for small amounts of gold like I'm putting in there. They are there for large depositories meant for holdings and IRA and 401k accounts. But then in addition to having standard services for tax-deferred accounts, the vault also gives you lending and selling options. So if you really want to dive in, you can get an allocated, segregated spot inside the vault that's very closely managed. It's also insured, of course. You don't have direct access to the vault like you would a deposit box. You're basically handing over your holdings, and then they inventory it and they manage it for you. And even though I'm familiar with how this works, I'm not 100% comfortable not having direct access to my gold right now. It feels a little strange having your private holdings inventoried. But I understand that that's completely private from anyone other than the approved account holder. It just takes some getting used to. Now, the reason the allocated storage is interesting, though, is that it gives you a further option to use a depository like a bullion bank. And what that means is you can actually lend your gold bullion. And honestly, this part's still a little bit fuzzy to me since I haven't actually done it yet, but there are groups that require certain levels of physical gold on hand to fulfill agreements. I guess that would be like a mining company or a refinery. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure who else would need that. But you get interest on that loan and then a claim for future recovery of whatever it is that you lend. And again, obviously I'm no expert on how all of this works, but it's a very interesting concept. It's a little like having a savings account that actually earns you interest. It's kind of a novel idea, huh? What led me to the depository or the vault was that I've been really curious about how the bullion bank lending work. And I also just wanted a deposit box that was insured. So this kind of knocked out two birds with one stone. The part of this that I didn't expect to be a hard decision was what to actually move to the box. If I was going to use the vault, I'd only want to commit straight bullion. So the loans work like a typical bullion bank in that everything is based on spot. So any lending or selling options totally ignore any numismatic value whatsoever. And with that in mind, it just doesn't make sense to put something like this in the vault, for sure, really. I might put this one back in the presentation box, though, and squirrel it away with some pseudo-numismatic pieces that I have for my kids. I'm really just thinking that I want to hold on to enough variety to keep these videos from getting too boring. So I'm going to keep a few maples and eagles, probably a handful of buffaloes, and then anything off of my normal, like the New Britannia, I'll keep out. Honestly, I don't really have a whole lot of variety right now beyond that. It'll be interesting to see what offsite storing does to my brain. I've been thinking that I need to get back on track with Eagles, and if they're just going in a box or a vault, that's really the way to go. Now, I haven't got a clear answer on this yet, but I imagine that some kind of 24 karat coin would be smart as well, and for that I would want a low premium 4/9 fine coin. And there are a lot of options. Maple immediately comes to mind. But there are a few that have that 1099B requirement. If I ever take the coins out of the vault and go and sell them, if you sell 25 of them at one time, there's an immediate 1099B form that goes straight to the IRS, whatever. Obviously, I still have some questions to get answered before I know for sure. This whole concept is pretty new to me. I misunderstood the concept entirely until pretty recently. But even as I'm figuring it out, I'm still not comfortable enough to go all in on it. And I'm definitely not checking in everything I own and cutting off, one of the primary benefits of holding physical gold, which of course is just that immediate direct access to it. So I'm keeping 12 ounces out here, 3 ounces out somewhere else, and then I have something in the mail coming soon as well, I guess, and that's just going to keep happening. But I'm not really sure yet what the right amount to keep on hand is. It might be more than that, it might be less than that. But whatever it ends up becoming, I really like having a more specific plan, and the vault services are a lot better than burying the stuff in the rose garden, I guess. So my rep didn't really want to answer the question, but I get the feeling that the average holding in the vault is well above 100 ounces, so I'm no VIP there. But I'll let you know as I learn more about it. And if you have any experience with something similar to this, I would love to hear about it. So be sure to let me know in the comments. And while you're there, if you don't mind, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. It's all very helpful to the channel. As always, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.